everyone. Good afternoon. This is Medha. I'm working with Timken Canada as a controller. I'm a CPA from. I've done my. I've I've done my CA from India as well, and I'm a IFR certified and SAP certified person. I have almost 9 years of experience in public accounting firm and over 5 years in industries. So today, I know today these days our times are so challenging because of the pandemic going on. We all are working partially or fully remotely. We are working. So today our goal is to build a better understanding of majorly two topics, which would be professional skepticism, and we would be talking about the major issues and recommendations with remote auditing and pandemic. We could say like whatever is working right now, the current situation is there. So professional skepticism. Before that, do you know how the accounting has evaluated? Has anyone done audit when we had paper journals? They were all paperwork. We used to do it. Has anyone done an audit during that time? Or the situations that are right now, all the ERPs, the accounting softwares, the audit, the automatic linkage is there. Everything is there. Do you ever thought like when we were doing a paper audits and now we are doing audits through software, there has been one thing which is similar. The thing which has been similar is the auditor's mindset. And that mindset, that attitude is what we call as professional skepticism. So, as per the CAS 200, what is professional skepticism? It's all about your attitude. It's all about having a questioning mind. It's all about being alert for the conditions which might take you to a possible misstatement, error, or fraud. So it's all being alert to the critical assessment. Always you should go for an audit with an open mind. You have to be stay open minded. Don't get to a conclusion unless you get a persuasive evidence that validates or that challenges the information that the management has provided to you. You should always approach it like in a plain paper and clear slate, because as in plain paper with an understanding that an error could be there, an alternate conclusion could be there. So that's how you should approach an audit. And this is the main during this remote and pandemic time, because you don't have those informal moments with the customer, with the clients. You cannot just go and have a cooler conversation. You can't just have a discussion with them. So this reminds me of an experience that I had when I was doing my audit at Informal Moments. I was auditing a company which was manufacturing automobiles. When they were manufacturing gears for one of the major automobile industries. We were auditing that client from a decade. Like we were their auditors from long time. We never thought the situation could be this way. Cash verification was the surprise cash verification that we do was a very normal activity. Usually, a junior resource was allocated to it because it was just an check the box kind of activity, because always the cash was fine. And just because in that year in 2009, I had some time, so I took that task and I went for an cash verification with the staff, with the client staff. While doing that cash verification, once it was done, I just saw some checks in their drawer. And I informally asked, what are these checks for? Luckily, that person who was facilitating the cash verification was also a new joinee with the company. And he answered, like, these checks are for the vendors. So I said, what are they doing in your drawer? He said, we have a policy. Whenever we get an invoice, we just make a payment entry. We just do a payment entry. We keep the checks with us. I said, the checks are with you, and in the BRS, you're showing it as checks issued and not presented. I don't think so. That's a right treatment to do it, because the checks are in your drawer. You're understating your bank balance. You're understating your trial trade payables, and the checks are with you. So these informal moments might take you to some misstatements, some possible misunderstandings that customers might have regarding the treatments. So these are actually missing in these pandemics, which is a kind of situation where you have to be alert. Had I been not done the bank reconciliation statement, I would have not actually recognized that there is something. They're showing it as a checks issued and not presented. So now we'll come up to some of the challenges with remote auditing during pandemic. What are the major challenges that we face during pandemic? One is about the accounting assumption. The others could be the auditing evidences, in collecting the audit evidences, and third could be the accounting estimates. So coming on the accounting assumption, it's all about going concern assumption. These days, going concern assumption is something that we cannot think, because if we go to a customer and we ask them like how is your business going, the customer will, oh, all my procedures, policies and estimates are same as the last year. We're doing good with the COVID-19. We have got some government grants. We are doing good. So let's take an example of a restaurant. What about a restaurant? They're saying, okay, we are all our policies are same since we've been closed for so many times, but we are getting government grants, so we are able to meet our expenses. We have our deferred rents. We are able to pay our employees, and because we've made some changes, we've pivot our businesses. Like we've made some changes. We are more online now. We do food deliveries and all, so we are doing good. But what this impression that the client has made on you, what will that impact as an auditor for you? What will be an issue for you? You might allocate a junior resource. You might say, oh, I mean, because you have a biased mind, right? You've been biased by, okay, the customer is doing good. You'll think, okay, that there will be nothing much. It's a straightforward audit with government grants and fixed expenses, a little bit of sale, and nothing much in there. So you'll allocate a junior resource. You might still be okay, like you don't have a sufficient audit evidence, but you still be okay. Oh, it's a going concern. We've been doing an audit for this restaurant. They're doing good. They'll be okay. It's only about the government grants. Sorry, it's only about the government grants and all. I mean, but they'll be fine. What about if the procedures you perform very late? You're like, okay, this is a very check the box kind of going concern assumption. So we can do it at the end. Let's concentrate on other things right now. No, so my recommendation would be approach it with an open mind. If I would be you, I would actually approach, irrespective of the client is saying, I would approach it with an open mind. I would take sufficient audit evidences, irrespective of what the management is saying, but I would have something to validate what the customer is saying or to challenge what they're saying. Right now, it's the best time to consult with a subject matter expert, because going concern assumption is something that is based on how the future will happen. What the client is saying is something that how they pass their 1 year, but you have to really look how the future would be. So consult with the subject matter expert. The next that we come up is the accounting evidences. So right now you might not have the physical access to the client's documentation, or you might not be able to do a physical inventory count. So we'll go one by one on both of these. We'll touch it. First, we'll go with the physical access to the client's documentation. You cannot visit the client. All procedures and documents you have to be done remotely. So you might have to tweak your audit plans a bit. You might have to design an alternative procedures, sufficient audit evidences you have to take, and you have to meet the auditing standards as well. So that's a major issue for the auditors, because you have to design your alternative procedures, thinking about the condition that you don't have access to the client's office. You have to meet the auditing standards as well. So my recommendation in that case, it would be gather more electronic evidences or scan documentation and get some third-party confirmations from the client, which will help you understand and validate the information. Using technologies, like they have walked through the testing of controls. You can do it all this via live screen shares, live videos. That will help you a bit. Process and controls in place over evidence preparation. Test the controls, test the process, how they've been prepared. Are they being prepared as they were earlier? Test the controls around it. If it's a new client, you need to understand their entity, their environment in which they are working. because you're not familiar with the staff who's preparing the information. You don't have the access to the information that, because it's a new client. So better if you can just have a discussion with the previous auditors, have access to that information. That will help you a lot if it's a new client. Consultation with the subject matter expert. Best time I would say right now, because you need experts right now on each and every subject matter for each and every specific matters that you're facing in your audit. The next is physical inventory count. I know this has been a trending topic. Everyone is concerned about it because it's over a year of the pandemic. Then we are working remotely. There are a lot theories, a lot things around it. But the one that I like the best, I'm presenting it to you. That I know you'll not be able to attend the. I mean, even though your clients are not able to conduct the PICs, they are not able to have auditors be there with them when they are doing the physical inventory count. So the issues with the auditors are you don't have the sufficient audit evidences for existence of the inventory. You might end up doing an impact on the audit report. But there are few points that if you take care, if you do it in a recommended way, you might avoid the impact on the audit report if you have the sufficient audit evidences you got it. How you can, do it, like how alternatively you can do it. Get into the discussion with the entities, get their facts and circumstances in which they're doing it, how carefully they've been doing it, what they've considered, what they are planning for inventory, like risk of material misstatement due to error or fraud. Just see what the pressure they have right now. The customers might be under a pressure of, you know, they might be a pressure of other things, like if they are a warehouse they have a pressure of delivering goods at pace, delivering the goods at time. So look at the pressure in which those inventory sheets are prepared. Look at the internal controls, are they effective? Look at other resources, like other time cycle counts, and you can do a roll forwards, you can do a rollback procedures. Do If you can do it in the mid of the year, do it in the mid of the year and roll forward it to the and bring it to the December 31st inventory balances. Try doing rollback procedures. I guess that's the best one can do it. Then you can do a remote observation, have live feeds, ask an independent staff of the customer to work with you and give you a live feeds of it. The documents in which the inventory is updated, it has to be live so that you can see how the document has been captured live. Do some alternate procedures like the roll forwards. I said inspection of the year-end inventories, using the sales documentation, and if for inventory, do consider consulting the subject matter expert. How to value it? How's the condition of the inventory? Because you can't go and visit and look at the condition of the inventory right now. So this has been physical inventory count. Now, what about the accounting estimates? Accounting estimates have been a major concern for all the customers, I would say. Reason being because till now they've been using an approach of historic approach, but now they have to go for a multi-scenario approach. They cannot predict their future based on the history of transaction that they have, the history of sales. It's a multi-scenario. They have to consider all the economic facts and then come to a estimate. A lot of uncertainty, and you need to perform alternate procedures for that. So in that case, my recommendation would be get into engagement with the customer earlier. Have a discussion with them, how you're anticipating your business in the next year, what's your say in that. Development, address how they're addressing the challenges, just have a discussion with them. Additional audit expert is needed right now. The ones who do it, the forecasting people, you really need to have a discussion with them. What are the scenarios, how the other industries are doing? You need to have comparisons, sense checking judgments. Like as the audit progresses, keep revisiting your risk, keep evaluating your audit plan, keep doing revising it, because situations are changing very frequently these days. Be alert to the increased risk of fraud or management bias. Like if management has a risk, if management has a stress right now, they would be biased to do certain things which might end up overstating their liabilities or understating their assets, just to make sure that their next year looks profitable. So be alert for such situations and assess the extent of uncertainty in the estimated value. Don't see what they have disclosed. Just try and see what is missing. And if situation doesn't agree or you don't agree with something that the customer management is saying, bring an impact to the audit report right now. Yep, these are like accounting estimates. I've talked about all the major issues that we are facing right now. Let's come up with some general recommendations that will help you go through the audits these in this year and the upcoming next year also. So my general recommendations would be carefully consider the direct of management bias. Just keep testing the stress, do the stress testing on management right now, because you have to see how much they could be biased, how much they might want to show their current year as a worse year because they want to see it profitable next year. So just see the stress level they have. They can do either ways. They can understate their assets, they can overstate their liabilities. See the stress they have. Challenge the representation from the management when they tell you that procedures, balancing controls are same as the last year. Just ask them simple questions like what are the new procedures that you've done, what are the new adjustment entries that you've done, so that you'll get to know is there any extra adjustment entry that you have to do in this year. This will help you get into is there any changes. The second will be pay attention to not only the information that management is disclosing, but also take time to think about what may be missing. Don't see what disclosures they've done. Evaluate yourself. Think what should be there, like what disclosure should be there, and see if that's missing. Don't just depend on what the management is giving you. Reassess how substantive analytic procedures and variance analysis are performed. Find ways to maximize virtual in-person audit procedures. Try having give them a clear agenda of the meeting. Give one-to-one meeting agendas. Take notes. Record the sessions so that you can benefit as much as from the virtual in-person audit procedures. Keep the reliability of electronic audit evidence at the top of your mind. Right now, everything that you're receiving, just see if it's similar to what you received earlier. Is there any gaps in the information? Was it being prepared in a similar way? So I know the situation is totally different from what we've been doing audit from last years. So we really have to think apart from what we've been doing in earlier years. We have to think something new, but it should be in terms of the auditing standards, in line with it, and it also comply with it. So these the few recommendations that I've told you about it can help you go through the audits, can help you have your audits nice. So all the best for your audits. Thank you. Any questions that you people might have for me? Any questions? I would like to share my experience. I really had a very nice time when I had my audits. I really enjoyed doing auditing, but in these times, it's in the current situation, it's quite tricky. So apart from the enjoyment, it's more about being alert. It's more about being thinking how we can do our best, because we are the representative to the public. We do the audits, so we need to see how we can do our best to have as much transparency as needed by the people right now, because no one is sure about how the market is going, how the situation is. So it's we who can actually help the public, help the economy of the country to be as transparent as possible. So I guess everyone got it very well. There's no questions so far. I thought I'll be thrown with the questions a lot because this is the most.
Hi, Meta, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hi Alex.
Hi, yeah, this is Alex from Toronto Jobs. I just wanted to come on and say thanks for your presentation. I know you just finished up a few minutes early for
Oh
questions,
yeah.
but it doesn't look like we have any questions in chat. So I just wanted to ask, what would you say is the key takeaway from your presentation, or maybe the top like 3 things someone should take away from your presentation?
Yeah, I mean the key takeaways for now
Mm-hmm.
it's be alert, have professional skepticism with yourself. The very first most thing is be professionally skeptical about whatever the management gives you. Validate it well.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, have sufficient audit evidence to support each and every conclusion that you make. Don't make it in a biased way. Don't jump over any conclusion. Have sufficient audit evidences. And thirdly, do as much virtual in-person discussions you can have, in-person observations to the inventory counts. You can do it. Do as much virtual you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And so that,
that's the majorly three that I would say. Yeah.
okay, awesome, great. And what's the best way that people can get in touch with you or reach you if they want to, ask any follow-up questions, maybe just have a chat?
Oh, they can add me on LinkedIn anytime, and I'm
Okay,
available in chat as long as the session is going on. So you can
okay,
anytime, yeah, you can anytime contact me with chat, or you can contact me over LinkedIn.
okay,
My LinkedIn profile would be like Medha Gupta. If you
okay.
search with that name, you'll find it with the CPA and control over the Timken. Yeah.
Okay, great. And is it just LinkedIn to contact you, or can they email you as well?
Yeah, you can mail me. You can mail me with my last name dot first name, which is gupta.medha at
Okay,
hotmail.com. So you can anytime contact me. Anyone who have any questions about remote auditing or anything with your career, within your profession, anything. Yeah.
okay, well, great. So yeah, again, it looks like there's no questions, unfortunately. If anyone watching would like to ask any questions for Meta, feel free. Take use of the time that Meta has left in her session here and put in some questions in chat. I'm sure she'd be happy to assist. But if not, I just wanted to say thanks for speaking today. It was a really great presentation. And I know this is your first. I believe this is your first time speaking at one of our events. Correct? Or
Yep.
yeah. So thanks for speaking at your first event. It's great to have you. And thanks again for your presentation. It was really great.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks.
Alex.
Thank you. Bye bye.